And good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, we have an Xbox filled show for you today. Lots of big news coming the way of Xbox. We're going to get into 2023 and beyond, as well as some new information on some new hires to give Matt Booty some help, some well-deserved help. We're going to talk about what this new position actually means. We have some information regarding Call of Duty that is quite shocking, as well as new information came out of from a Reddit post yesterday where it was translated from Italian, where someone was saying from I don't know, again, just take it with a big grain of salt because I don't know what the position of the woman where she worked and how she knew this, but apparently the EU Commission is expected to approve the deal in Europe, in that portion of Europe, with concessions. Now, what those concessions are, they were not described, but we will get into it. But let's get into the introductions. I'm going to welcome back someone that hasn't been here in a minute because, well, he works in real life, and today he's off and he's joining us. John Wolf, what's going on, brother? Welcome.
Boom. Good morning. Good morning, panel. Good morning, everyone. Just want to start by saying Happy Veterans Day to all that
Yes,
served.
indeed.
Boom. It's always a pleasure to be on, especially, kind of sitting down on my former chair here as part of Breakfast with Boom. Every time that intro starts pumping and you feel the bass, your heart rate just starts going. It's always exciting. Boom. Super happy to be here, man, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, it's great to have you here as always. You're always welcome in this home. So in the future, you just show up and you have the key to the kingdom. So just walk on in. Before I get to the rest of the introductions, besides, of course, one of the most important things is wishing everyone a very happy Veterans Day. If you are someone that served, Mrs. Boomstick and I want to say thank you for your service to this country. I think it's incredibly important. It's not something that servicemen and women hear very often. We are, and I say we because I'm former military. I was in the United States Navy many, many, many moons ago. I put a picture out there when I think I was 19 years old. Oh my God, it's almost a lifetime ago. But you very rarely hear it, especially if you're also a uniformed member of the service. Like, very rare do you hear it, but it's nice to be told thank you. So that's what Mrs. Boomstick and I wanted to do. And I also want to open up with some super chats that I missed yesterday, which of course aggravates the S out of me because I hate missing them, because obviously super chats are incredibly important to the growth of the channel, especially with the big giveaways. And we are not, no one that watches the show is obligated to donate, but I did miss a few. The first one came the way of Drawn TJ. I actually missed two of his. He wanted yesterday, we were talking about transmedia for Xbox and other video game franchises to make the jump to film and TV. He wanted a Dead Space movie. We also had Drawn TJ drop an additional $5 super chat. Said, I want to see a crossover between Halo and Doom and see it in third person, and to see a third person Halo game. I would love to see an ODST third person. I'd love to see them really just do something so outrageously different at 343. I love Halo. I just literally today or this morning started playing season, the winter update. There's a lot there. I didn't get a chance to really enjoy it. I know the season pass is for free. I looked at some of the armor pieces and stuff. Nothing really impressed me. I'm going to be honest with you. Nothing jumped off the page. I saw some stuff that I want to purchase that looked really cool. And I want to get into Forge. My only thing is I never really got into Forge before, and I'm actually a little bummed. I thought that Forge would be integrated into Quick Play, and you would there would be a section for Forge maps that you would just play with randos, and like you would on a regular Halo map, and that's not in fact the case, which I'm a little disappointed. I don't know why no one's ever thought about that, but that's a story for another day. We also have Don Otaku who dropped not one but two super chats before we closed out yesterday. The first one of $5 says Sonic has never made a Mario level game. Sonic has never made a 9 out of 10 game. Sonic has a few good games, but never a great game. And the majority of them are bad. I mean,
Still iconic though.
I don't know if I so much agree that they haven't made a great game. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 are, in my opinion, just master level creations.
And
Sonic,
the original Sonic, they sold the Sega Genesis for a lot of people.
yeah, they did absolutely. I mean, has so if you want to if you're saying that they haven't made a Mario Odyssey level Sonic, I would say that I would agree to some extent. I do think that Sonic Frontier, if you haven't played it, you should give it a shot because it is phenomenal. It is everything that I would want with an open world Sonic. It's literally Sonic meets Breath of the Wild with some RPG elements in there. You know, you have to level up your power, you have to level up your defense. There's all these new. There's actually a skill tree for Sonic that you can unlock, which is I think is really cool. And Don Otaku drops an additional and very generous $10 super chat yesterday, and he said, "In this Twitch era, Sony only gets 10% of the base because they make games where the story is the selling point. The games the games that do numbers are the ones where the gameplay is priority, and if that you have to play." Yeah, I would agree with as well. But thank you so much for the generosity, my brother. But let's get back into the introductions. Dreadpool, what's going on, brother? What have you had for breakfast? And good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Always thank you to the veterans. Thank you everybody that served, for us to have our freedoms. But for breakfast, which is one of those freedoms that we get to do, right? We get to have our freedoms here. And my breakfast of freedom today was eggs. I made old-fashioned Greek-style eggs, which is basically the day before's meat, whatever it was. It's usually pork. You sear it up a little bit, scramble in some eggs, and throw in some old French fries from the day before and mix it all up and add some cheese on there. Instead of feta, I just added Gouda. Obviously Gouda is my favorite cheese,
right,
next to feta, but I didn't want to have that the strength of the feta, so I just wanted a little bit, the stringiness of the Gouda. So nice. I put that in there and made a nice little omelet, and then halfway through said, you know what, I'm going to put it in a sandwich. So I got some sliced Hawaiian bread.
Nice.
So I toasted that and put it in there, and so good.
Well, there you go, brother. Well, listen,
I should have taken pictures, but I was too hungry.
I haven't eaten breakfast, and now you got me hungry.
All I had, I feel terrible because all I had was a boring bagel and a cup of coffee.
Well, one of these days, I'll make a German pancake and show you the size of how this thing fluffs up and everything. And I take the apple, and instead of cooking it inside the pancake, I put it as a topping on top of it, and it's
wow.
Dude, you're missing out. You got to do a show.
I would say
breakfast with Dread.
Cooking with Dread or something, right?
Yeah, I would definitely do that for sure. But good stuff as always, Dread. Glad to have you here. Fuzzy Belvedere, brother, what's going on? You are officially now a mod. So if anyone gets out of line, you do what you do when you get pissed off at Sony and their Gran Turismo shenanigans, and you get them on out of here. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, and man, just a lot of news and navigating Twitter with a lot of these checkmark fiat. Well, I won't say fiat.
Well, they stopped it, thankfully. No more blue check marks. Shockingly enough, they had to cancel the most dumbest thing in the history of moves, and Twitter officially is going to be ruined, which is sad.
No, but there's so much great stuff as far as gaming news. Can't wait to get into it. Glad to be here with you guys. Let's get into it.
Well, let's open up with something fun. Yesterday, the Xbox Series X and S officially had its second birthday. I believe next week is going to be the PlayStation 5, but we're here to talk about Xbox, folks. And a lot of people from the community came out and put posts out there celebrating the 2 years in the gaming market in next generation. One of which was Jason Ronald. Obviously, if you don't know who Jason Ronald is, he works at Xbox and is uh, not solely, but certainly a great deal responsible for what goes into making these consoles work. He obviously has the best beard in the business, and he actually put out something I want to read. He says it has been great to see all of the posts today celebrating the 2 year anniversary of the launch of the Xbox Series X and S. I couldn't be more proud of the team launching 2 consoles from home during a worldwide pandemic. Thanks for being a part of the Xbox community. Much more to come. And I think that that's something that a lot of people really do miss the mark on. Obviously, taking nothing away from what Sony has done with the PlayStation 5, Microsoft, I think, here is the winner. Not so much in just console sale numbers, folks. They released 2 different consoles during a pandemic. Say what you want about first party, and we're going to get into that because first party for 2023 and beyond looks so ridiculous that I wanted to get everyone's opinion on what's most exciting for them, because I think that next year is going to be not only potentially the best year in gaming since like 2007, but I think for Xbox it could very well be the greatest year in the 23-year history of the platform. And that's saying something. Now, granted, yes, there's a lot of games in there that are going to be there because of delay, but that's the same thing that Sony's doing right now. Most of the games that came out this year for them were supposed to release at some point last year, and they just happened to all fall into 1 year, and they're probably going to win Publisher of the Year because of it. And again, it is the quality or the type of game subjective? Sure, but you can't argue that they do put out good games. But getting back to Xbox, and I'm going to start first with Fuzzy. Fuzzy, I'm interested to know your opinion on, are you satisfied with what Xbox has been doing with these 2 consoles? I mean, like in the 24 months of owning them, have you felt like this has been a jump to next generation for you?
It does. It's definitely an improvement, at least in my opinion, over Xbox One generation. The whole thing with the quick resume and the smart delivery, those 2 features right alone are what I would consider on that next gen train. As far as before we even get into graphics or performance and stuff, those features have added so much to the quality of life that it would make it impossible for me to want to go back to my Xbox One X or my standard old VCR size Xbox One. So those 2 features alone have been huge. Overall, with the big step into more games being 60 frames or even some that are 120 frames, that's another huge jump that they've made. And then now we have ray tracing, which is something that used to be exclusive to like 2080 and better cards. As far as from the PC world, we now have ray tracing in a lot of games. Not all of them, but there are quite a few that do have it. And it's just the beginning of the generation. So I can only imagine as these devs get more ingrained or more in tune with what they can do with this particular kit. So those are the huge things. There's only been one small sore spot for me as far as these 2 years, and it's been the DVR, and I've already put it out there on Twitter how pissed off I'm about that.
We've talked about that, and look, I'll say this: on this channel, we celebrate gaming, right? If you follow me, if you're a subscriber, you know that we celebrate gaming. We give smoke where the righteous smoke is deserved. We do give flowers where it's deserved. And one of the things that they have to figure out, one of the things that has been a thorn in Xbox's side for many, many years is this DVR situation. Again, Sony's DVR for the PlayStation 5 is the chef's kiss. It works perfect. I don't have to do anything except double press the record and I'm going. And when I want to move it, I simply just put a memory stick in and I move it over. I transfer and it's done. They need to do something about this, and they need to do it soon.
Yeah. But outside of that, these 2 years have been great. Like let's be honest, like I'm fairly new to Xbox. Like 2014 is when I entered the ecosystem. And I enjoyed everything about it. And when the Xbox One X came out, that was like, oh wow, this is like almost PC level graphics, or at least for that time period in comparison to like the PS4 or even the PS4 Pro. Those were like huge jumps for me, and I was extremely happy. I didn't think I could be even happier with the Series X in comparison, but looking back over those 2 years, I would say the overall performance, the quality level of the detail in the games and things like that. And yeah, some of them needed patches over time, but like everything I would say from, was it 20, I guess that would be 2020 up to now, has been fantastic. And like I said, just one sore spot, but that one sore spot, while somewhat of a nuisance, can't even diminish any of my happiness with the console and the gaming that I've experienced over these past 2 years. So I'm pretty enthused and happy, and anxiously or eagerly looking forward to 2023 with this possibly nonstop lineup of games next year. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, we're going to get into exactly what is coming next year and in the coming years after that. And I think that if you look at all three platforms, and again, taking nothing away from Nintendo, taking nothing away from Sony, they're going to put out great games next year. They're going to put out greater games in the years to come. But I think that those roadmaps are very blurry right now. Sony is in a bit of a transition as a developer. We don't know exactly what's going to happen to their first party output outside of Spider-Man next year. We don't know anything. Now, does that mean they don't have things in development? Of course not. They probably have a ton of stuff in development. The question is, we know that they have over a dozen gas games to try and cash in on games as a service, to help stabilize what for them has been a free fall in the market. Now, I don't know if those 12 games in development are or at all of their most popular studios, where those are gonna take precedent over the single player game. I couldn't tell you. I'm not vested into their ecosystem or into their back room, and I can tell you what they're doing back there. I can tell you though, I think that we've heard Jim Ryan say different things about how they're gonna do development, and the one thing that you have to be excited about with Xbox is not only are they gonna still remain the multiplayer console when it comes to games, but they have a ton of single player stuff that we've been asking for coming in, specifically next year, with two of them potentially. One is Starfield, we know for sure, and the other one is potentially Hellblade 2. But we're going to get into that momentarily. Drawn TJ drops a very generous $2 super chat, and says, "Good morning, Boom and panel. Sith Lord, who is recovering from surgery. Sith Lord, I hope that you're feeling better, brother." He drops a $2 super chat and says, "Happy Veterans Day, Boom. Thank you for your service." Well, thank you for the kind words and, of course, generosity. Suicide Kings drops a very generous $2 super chat and salute. He says, "Salute to all of our veterans. Thank you. That's very kind of you, brother." And Highlander 001 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Happy Veterans Day to my fellow vets, including the Coast Guard." Salute to you, brother. We also had a mention pop in here from a channel member, Bionic Wolf. Let me just get his thing because I can't see it on my screen. He's been a member for 2 months. He says, "Coast Guard veteran here. Happy Veterans Day to Boom and all my fellow veterans." Well, happy Veterans Day to you as brother. And again, thank you for your service. Dredd, I want to go to you first on this, and then we'll bring John in on the back end. Listen, one of the things I think that's the most impressive, I mean, the Series X is just a monolith of power. When you look at what it's been able to do, what it continues to do, I think that one of the biggest things for next generation that does not really get discussed about is the smart delivery This is something that does not come the way of Sony. Occasionally, there are developers that offer upgrades for free. Capcom is notorious for doing that. But Sony themselves, they do what they always do, and that's they nickel and dime the shit out of the consumer with these $10 upgrade free fees, as opposed to, well, Microsoft says if you have a new console, you get the new upgrade and it don't cost you anything, but all you got to do is download. What are your thoughts on that, brother? And what has been your experience with the new consoles?
Well, let's see. Well, I've actually loved the new consoles. They were the direction we were supposed to be heading, and that's on both sides of the fence. There's no secret that I've been hooking up SSDs to my Xbox Ones back in the day, and still have them like that, and getting the better performance. But when you're looking at better performance, what else is better than when you download a game that you're getting the right game to be downloaded to your system with no issues? I can't remember the game right now, but apparently there was a game on Sony's side that Sony's been pushing to, like,
it was Destiny 2.
There you go. Yeah, Destiny 2. That's it. They've been playing the PS4 version on PS5. And it's like, you're not even getting the benefits of anything, but you've paid for it, and here, yeah, it's a marketing term, but at the same time, there's more to it than just marketing, so you got to remember, a lot of this stuff, you want to have marketing terms so it's easily identifiable, it's easily sellable, right? Because remember, what was it, turbo blast processing? That really wasn't a thing. It was just something that was on the inside that some marketer took and made it into something that was real, even though it is real, but not the way that they projected it to be, not the way that they made it seem to be. But when it comes to this is, you don't have to worry about it. You just download the game, and it tells you that this game, you can't download this game on your Series X, or vice versa on your Xbox One, because it's a Series X version. It requires more than this console can handle, so you're automatically given your choices, and if you accidentally pick the wrong one, it tells you right away, you can't do it. It's not on this. That's why they've also highlighted with the X/S to let you know that these games are playable this way. I've had games that I can't play on the one, and I've said it years ago, I can't see why they can't do a app for your one, and you can play your game via the cloud, stream it onto your console and do it that way, and you can. But at the same time, it throws you off, because you're like, I've played this game on here, but you haven't. You've streamed it through an actual series console.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of it. It pulls away some of that confusion. It lets you know what's going on, and it's a smart move. It was the smartest thing to do. There's so much confusion. Remember, what game was it? Was that Horizon Zero Dawn? No.
Are you talking about the free upgrade that was hidden?
Yes,
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect example of that. They said it was going to be free. Then they changed their mind, and anyone called them out for the BS, and rightfully so. Jim Ryan came out and said, okay, we're going to do it just this once. But everything after that is going to be an upgrade fee, unless you buy for because they want that $10 that they charge. Did you folks, this is the, people accuse me of picking on Sony, but they really do make it very easy to shout themselves out, because they're always shooting themselves in the feet. I'm sorry. This is a perfect example of it. No one talked about it, and they just let it go. Oh, it's just Sony. Did you know that you literally had to go and find Horizon Zero Dawn for the PlayStation 5, the free upgrade?
And it wasn't easy
I had
to
download it through the app, not even through the console.
It wasn't easy to find.
No, it wasn't, which again is ridiculous.
You tell me if that doesn't sound like deceptive practices.
Hello, yes.
So, but and it's stuff like that. That's why when you see stuff Smart Resume. Man, I'm drawing blanks here.
Yeah, but quick resume versus
quick-
smart delivery.
Smart delivery. I was mixing the two. That's why. Quick resume, smart delivery. Yes, those are nice key words, but they actually do have something behind them to signify that there is something there, and you're not just getting shafted. But it's putting stuff in practice, and that's part of it. Is they didn't just say, "Oh, this is what we're going to do," and then not follow through. And that's what you want. You want people to follow through with their companies and what they're going to do. And the technology that they've done with this is great. You don't have to worry about it. All our game saves, boom, done.
Cloud.
Don't have to worry
Again,
about
something
it.
else that Sony charged you. They charge you to keep those cloud saves, man. You need.
At this point, Jim Ryan will charge you to stretch your back. Boom. He'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you got to stretch your back. That'll be $1."
But you see, and that's the funny thing, right? You got to pay for it. Not only that, you have to painstakingly upload it. And how many people do we know that have had their saves fail?
Yep.
And they lost their whole game.
People, yes.
So it's there's a lot to be appreciative when you've everything's said and done with what Xbox has done with their console.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, there's been so much good stuff, and seeing more and more of the tech and the software side that they said that they're going to be bringing out and developing and pushing out there is coming to fruition. The only downside is we need game developers to start using them.
Yeah,
that's the only downside. If you don't use it, you don't
I
get
think
it.
ultimately they will.
They will.
Like I said, there are some knucklehead developers out there that actually put Sony on their backs and carry them with some of the potato comments and stuff like that. It's just dumb. Like people don't understand that when you go up against the company, regardless of what company it is, you do paint yourself into a corner. And listen. At the end of the day, these consoles are great. They're all great. Even the Switch for what it is, the 720p machine. I play the Switch every day with Mrs. Boom.
And that's what we have to remember.
Yeah.
They are what they are. Don't make them out to be something more than they're not. Remember the PS3 was it PS2? Was supposed to take over satellites and
that was PS3.
Yeah.
It could launch nukes.
That's gonna launch the nukes. But that, it was like, yeah, but you look at what they flew up with. If you want to know a potato, that was our first flights into outer space. Those were potatoes. Okay, so if you want to see what they flew out, I mean, our phones are more powerful than what they flew across and flew around the moon and all that. So when you're talking about holding back, there's nowhere we can't go if you put the effort to it.
No doubt about that. Listen, I want to bring in John Wolf on this, but I got to catch up with a few of the super chats that popped in here. First of all, Highlander 001 drops an additional and very generous $10 super chat and says Sony's CEO is not happy with Sony Pictures and their lack of movies. Yeah, their decision making when it comes to film is bonkers. The fact that we're getting a Madam Web movie. Do you remember a couple of years ago they wanted to do an Aunt May film? Like, okay, I mean, good luck with that. I mean, good luck with bringing an Aunt May film to the conversation.
I gotta make Peter some sandwiches.
The Peter making sandwiches skit. I can't wait. He says that they're thinking of selling off the division. Could explain price increase for PlayStation. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what? I'm gonna say something. Selfishly, I hope that Sony Pictures does get sold. I really do. Sell to Apple, sell to whoever. Who gives a shit? I don't care. So get rid of it. You know why? Because Spider-Man goes back to Marvel, and they lose the rights for the IP. That's in the contract. If you didn't know, if Sony is ever sold, the rights for Spider-Man immediately revert back to Marvel. Or of course Disney. So that's what I want, because all I mean, as good as the Spider-Man character is, and he's amazing, no pun intended. Sony they just don't know what to do with them. All of their characters, like the Venom films, they were okay. They're making what's the name, the Hunter film without Spider-Man, Craven the Hunter. It doesn't make any sense. It's just ridiculous. But that's here nor there. Let's continue the conversation of gaming. But before I get to you, I got to thank Pragmatic Eagle, good friend and generous friend of the program. He drops a very generous $10 of remittances to Boom and all of my fellow service members, former, current, retired, etc. Take advantage of the companies that salute us today. Enjoy the show, and as always, remember to be kind to one another. Absolutely, brother. I love the commentary, but also the outstanding generosity. Salute to you as well. But John, it's funny. We're talking about the Series X and we're talking about the Series S, and one of the most dynamic conversations that has come out of next gen has been the Series S, the little brother, right? The little guy that could. It's a lot of people in recent weeks have talked about this console being a thorn in the side of gaming, which is preposterous considering that the lowest common denominator in development has always and will always be PC, simply because there are so many different settings. A lot of people don't know this. Currently, right now, today, the Series S plays more games at 120 frames per second than the PlayStation 5. It's 4-1. Think about that for a second. The $239 console that's going to take over Black Friday this upcoming weeks plays more games at 120 frames per second than the $550 PlayStation 5. 4-1. John, I want you. I mean, you give us your experience with the X, but I'm interested to get your opinion on that. This is a console that is allowing for people who don't have $500 to spend, whether that be on a PS4 or a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, allow them to be a part of the conversation in next generation, and it's doing things that by all rights it shouldn't be able to do, and it's doing them well.
How about this fun fact? Since the Series S and the X both released, I bought both of them on launch day. Okay?
So did I.
I've logged in more hours on my Series S than I have on my X. How about that? Okay, and you don't miss any of the next gen features like the smart delivery, FPS boost, all the good stuff, all the little bells and whistles. You get it with the Series S, and you don't skip a beat. You do take a bump on that resolution. If you want to hook it up to your OLED 4K, that's not what that system was designed for. It was designed for 1440p, 1080p gaming. And I guarantee that if that's your range, you will be more than satisfied, 100%. What Microsoft has done with this system has been nothing but absolutely brilliant. And the reason is because they've been able to cut the knees under Sony and move that market position. And it's no secret that the Series S it is probably outselling the X. I would say 3-1, maybe. I don't know.
I wouldn't doubt it, dude. I would not doubt it. Yeah.
And it was a really smart move when you take a look at the landscape of gaming of where we're at right now, introducing that cheaper SKU with the X Factor, which is Game Pass, was a genius move on Phil Spencer and Team Xbox. As this generation was introduced. But Boom, I want to go back to what you were talking about, because let me tell you, not since the days of the Xbox 360 has Microsoft and the Xbox brand been so hot. And there's no secret that when the 360 came out, it led the whole generation through. Even though the PlayStation 3 came back at the end there and outsold it a little bit, it's no secret that 360 led it, that the charge. And I see the same thing. The winds of change are happening again this gen. When you take a look at what defined the 360 generation, it was a transformational generation for gaming, right? They introduced HD graphics, achievements, a gamer profile became a thing. Now You had an identity when that people can identify you by, as well as it was defined by Xbox Live, and more importantly, great games. The 360 introduced Gears of War and the many franchises like Mass Effect, and that we've come to love, right? That are legendary and iconic in this industry, as well as Call of Duty. Now, what's happening now with the Series X and the S is you're seeing kind of a similar wavelength here, where it's transformational, and what's leading the charge here is Game Pass. Boom. I've been gaming all my life since I was probably 5 years old, okay? And I have never been fully invested into gaming like I am now, across the spectrum of gaming, okay? And I thank the Series X for doing that. Why? Because I learned what, all of a sudden these frame rate boosts were, okay? Before I wasn't privy to PC gaming. I never had a PC. I got one after I purchased the Series X, because I got so enthralled into learning. Oh wow, when a game gets an FPS boost, all of a sudden it's like a brand new game that you're playing. Okay, and just everything that they have done to position themselves to to have this is by far one of the greatest comeback stories that you can ever see. And for obviously, if you take a look at the sales charts, Nintendo and PlayStation are ahead at the moment, but still, you can still see the market shift towards Xbox. Little by little, they're creeping up. They're creeping up. When they made the purchase of Bethesda, that was their way of letting their fan base know that they were all in on gaming. Hey, this brand is not going anywhere. We're investing. And then obviously now with the ABK deal, I mean, that pretty much tells you everything that you need to know. This is again what I'm calling a transformational generation. They're transforming this industry that we all love, and just like they did in the 360 days, they're doing it again in this generation, and it's being led by the Series S, as you talked about, and the Series X is there too for the hardcore, for those people that, hey, we want the best graphics possible and the highest frame rates possible. They got an option for you. If you don't have that much income for gaming, but you're like, I still want to get invested in the ecosystem, you can just sign up for Game Pass and you can stream your game. If you really think about everything that they've done to position themselves this generation, led by the Series X and the S, dude, you couldn't ask for more as a gamer, honestly.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that it answers all the questions for you. I think that even if you're in the market for next generation, but you don't have the $500, the $239 investment for the Series S, along with shackled with Game Pass, gets you gaming. Again, I think really what's the most impressive thing here is what Microsoft is doing to allow for every gamer of every ilk, especially of every financial station, to be a part of the conversation. I don't think they get enough credit for that. Allowing for everyone who wants to game on Xbox, making it affordable to do so, is something is incredibly special. It's something that no one really talks much about, and that's fine if you want to hide behind. I see some people in the chat. And again, listen, no one's taking anything away from Sony. They are quality. They do have quality, but to say that they're the premium brand, that's suggesting that somehow Microsoft is like the knockoff brand. I would 1,000% disagree with that. Sony is the premium brand because they do first party really well, and like I said, that's going to change for Xbox. Have we been waiting a long time? I mean, Phil Spencer even said it in an interview himself about a week ago, that they understand they haven't shipped a first party game, a big one, in a while. He understands that. He's the head of Xbox, for crying out loud. He's a smart dude. He's in the position for a reason. He understands that, but we cannot sit down here and say that there hasn't been quality games on Xbox, especially for first party. That's a farce. I'm sorry.
Here's the other thing I think is funny is no one's saying that value is for the poor people, right? You get your money, you get your value for your money's worth. and however you see fit, that's how you see fit. And Game Pass is the way to do it, or a 250, technically 299, until it goes on sale, which we know it will go on sale again. But the cheaper console that is compatible and capable as an X or a PS5, that doesn't mean that it's for poor people. And I don't understand why
So
it has
ridiculous.
to be a poor person is not allowed to get into gaming. It's a value.
Dude.
Listen, Dread. That all that stuff that you hear is just BS, and I'm gonna tell you why. Even for all my life that I've heard about PC gaming, PC gamers, the elitist, all that good stuff, one of the things that they champion are cheap games. All right,
Yes.
and
They're
their
the
mind,
cheapest mofos going. Yes.
Oh, I know that.
and they're the elitist, right? When it comes to gaming, so all that crap that I hear, listen, for people that have a gripe with the Series S, I just want to ask one question: do you own one? Because if you did and you played on it, I think that you would change your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
They gave Colt Eastwood crap for having an Xbox Series S and an X underneath his TV, and he's like, "Hey, I use it to test everything, so I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about."
Yeah,
the
Colt's
S."
a paraprofessional. If anyone that would have two systems and and use them to test, if you ever watch one of his videos, that's all you have to say. Watch one of Colt's videos, understand how much work he puts into them.
Absolutely.
But I do want to say something, and I don't know if it's because I come from very humble beginnings, like a lot of people. What I think makes me so angry to the point that I just want to like punch the screen is when I see people say, well, if you're having trouble putting food on the table or paying the rent, you shouldn't be worrying about gaming.
Come on, man.
Who, and I'm not going to curse, folks, because, this is a PG-13 show, but who the F do you think that you ought to say such a thing? I'm sorry. Like I said, I come from very humble beginnings. And the day that my father brought home the Atari 2600 with two games in 1978 changed my life, literally changed my life forever. And he was a blue collar dude that struggled. When you do construction, you're chasing your next job even while you're still working. And mom stayed home to watch the boys. You know what I'm saying? So to have that in the house was a bit shocking. I couldn't believe that he actually got that because there was no money for wasting, but he wanted us to have what everyone else had, so he figured it out. And I said that's why I give so much credit to Xbox, because like right now, this world kind of sucks. Everything costs a lot of money, more money than it should cost. A grocery shopping is $70 more in total per total grocery shopping than it was 2 years ago. And you think that $70 is it's just $70? Well, not for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So when you can turn around and give your child, and I think if you have children or godchildren or nephews and nieces, and you've ever given them something they want, and you see that smile and that expression of excitement, that then if you to say that we shouldn't want to do that for our families, and the one company that's allowing for that to happen is Xbox. That's why we talk about it so much. Listen, if
Everybody
you think that,
deserves to be part of the conversation.
you damn right they do. You absolutely damn right. But listen, I want to move on to the next topic because we're on this topic about 40 minutes, and that's fine because I think everyone killed it. But I do have in front of us, and this is actually a two-tiered topic. Dredd, you had made mention of this Italian. I believe I have in front of me from Idle Sloth. Now, Idle Sloth, folks, if you're not following this dude, I please, I ask that you follow him. Now, again, I don't get a dollar every time I say his name, but he is honestly one of the best in the business. He's on Twitter. It's at Idle Sloth 84_. He puts out some of the greatest Xbox news, actually industry news, but he is an Xbox dude. Well, I have in front of us, thanks to him, and I found it because I really wanted to talk about this for a hot second. The conversation that someone brought up earlier, I think it was Dredd, regarding the European Commission. Now, what I have in front of me, and I'm going to read verbatim. In an interview with, her name is Ariana Podesta. That's her name. She apparently is a spokesperson for the European Commission for Competition. And she was interviewed, and she comments on the Microsoft Activision deal and says that it's difficult for it to happen without concessions, but with satisfied concessions, the deal will go through. Now, those satisfied conditions, we can only speculate as to what they are going to be, but I would imagine that it's going to be Call of Duty remains on PlayStation for X amount of years or whatever. At this point, folks, does it really matter that PlayStation keeps Call of Duty? Who cares? Now, I think the only way this runs into a potential lawsuit is if they try to force Microsoft to have to put that into Sony's service as well. Obviously, it's going to go into Xbox Game Pass. That's the advantage of a $70 billion advantage. Just like Minecraft, you can buy it everywhere. They're not going to take away your ability to buy Call of Duty. And Call of Duty right now sells best on PlayStation. Now, will that remain forever? Well, I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to move over to Xbox for Call of Duty because it's in Game Pass. I couldn't tell you. But it's an interesting conversation nonetheless. But what's even more interesting is a story that I have. I'm going to pull this up right now. Let me just get over to it. Let me get to our Breakfast with Boom. Here's what's interesting. And again, this comes away of Idle Sloth, once again, putting great information out there. There's a new job listing, folks. Xbox is looking for an integrations manager. And according to the listing, as a member of the Xbox integrations team, partnering with exclusives for both companies and being a functional leader across Microsoft, Xbox, and this is the important thing, acquired companies. This comes the way of careers.microsoft.com/US. And this is what it says here, folks. To maximize the impact of this and other complex acquisitions, we are looking for an individual to provide day-to-day coordination, program management, leadership to accelerate early win opportunities, drive effective collaboration and strategic integration of acquired companies, and maintain a positive momentum. This role will be a member of the Xbox integrations team, partnering with executives of both companies and being a functional leader across Microsoft, Xbox, and the acquired or the newly acquired companies. John, I want to go to you first on this. Look, again, this is just an opinion. I don't know if it's right. I could be horribly wrong, but this position seems as if they are focusing on the deal going through. This is a new position for a new merger, which the new merger is Activision Blizzard King, which is supposed to happen the first quarter of next year. What are your thoughts on this? Am I onto something here?
I think you are, not only for the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, but whatever else Microsoft decides to purchase, because they said they weren't done. So it looks like it's a good idea, Boom, because if I'm there and I'm sitting down looking at the landscape of this deal, if I'm Phil Spencer, I have to ask myself, all right, we can't get too big and out of control here with all these moving parts. So we really need someone in charge, kind of like a Kevin Feige-esque individual, to kind of help us set, pretty much game plan, and set up the roadmap of what we're going to do with all of these developers, games, and everything that they're going to be taking on. I think that Matt Booty, one of the big knocks that Xbox has had for the last year, especially, you started hearing this talk a lot, especially when they delayed Starfield and Redfall, was that there was a management problem, right? That's
Yeah.
something that was talked about a lot, whether it was fair or not. pandemic, delays, whatever. A bunch of people and then ended up delaying their games this year to next year. So it doesn't matter. I still think that Phil Spencer kind of sees that, yeah, this is something that we really need to take charge of, because we got to get someone in here that's highly qualified in order to work on pretty much project management is what this is, and plan out the roadmap, like I said before, because you don't want, like, if you're Xbox, right, you don't want to be caught in a situation where you have too much of a good thing and you don't know what to do with it, right? Things need to be spread out evenly. The game plans for Game Pass, for it to continue to grow to the heights that I can think that they want it to, there needs to be a cadence of releases. They need to get all of these developers on board, and here's the big one. Here's the big thing that I want everybody to think about. This has never been done before. Okay, this is the first time that you have ever seen a company, pretty much by publishers, okay, and put them into their, bring them under their wing, and try to set up this release windows and all this different things that they have to worry about. So I think it's a really good idea, Boom, and I think you are onto something. I think that's pretty much what this position is going to be. It's going to be in charge of.
I mean, is it safe to assume that with all of the acquisitions, I mean, again, listen, we know Bethesda is run by Todd Howard and, oh my God, what's the other guy's name? I always forget.
Pete Hines.
Pete
Hines.
Hines.
Yeah.
Thank you for the save, brother. We know that they both do an incredible job. They're both forward facing. They have all of their studios running at tip top shape. They are handling a lot of the publishing deals. The back end deals, which we know are important. So with Hines and running that part, that aspect of Bethesda, I don't necessarily think that falls on to Matt Booty. I think Matt Booty is currently working with the 13 plus studios they currently have now. That obviously has to change. He's going to need some help, and that's what I think this is. I think ultimately this is getting him some well-deserved help, because when you consider how many new studios are going to be coming the way of this ABK deal, there is a lot of studios, dude. I mean, like a lot.
You need someone, like, in my mind, Boom, if you need someone that, like, let's say that they want to release a Doom Halo crossover game, you need someone that's not in charge of, id or Matt Booty or anything like that. You need an individual that is high level and can kind of put these two teams together and say, all right, what are we going to do here? What's the roadmap and all that good stuff for release? And just come up with, like, kind of like Kevin Feige is. That's exactly what they need.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Before we bring in Dreadpool in the conversation, I have to catch up with some channel member comments as well as some super chats that have come in. And the first comment comes to us from a good friend of the program who's been a channel member for 3 months. Double X Wolverine Double X. He says, "Good morning, fellas. Happy Veterans Day to all who have served and continue to serve." Thank you so much for the generosity of being a channel member, but thank you very much for the awesome commentary. We also have We Robo 2024, who has been a channel member for 1 month. Hey, brother, thank you so much for being a channel member. We certainly appreciate it. Actually, he's been a channel member for 2 months. He says, hopefully all of the first-party studios use all of the tools and power of the console in their upcoming games to show third-party what could be achieved. That is an awesome statement, brother. Let me tell you something, because I've heard that more times than not, especially with development when it comes to the Series S. I think it's safe to say we have not. I mean, we've seen it with a few games, but we need to see a more better cadence when it comes to development for first party, because first party are supposed to be the best of the best of the best. That is what first party is supposed to do when it comes to its own console. And what that does, exactly what We Robo said here, is that it gives a roadmap or a blueprint to third and second party and says, hey, listen, this is what we were able to do as first party. We were able to push the console this far because of these tools, and that's why said game looks great, because it's a first party game. You should never be outdone by a third or second party when it comes to games. Your first party games need to look the best on the console because you are first party. That is a fantastic statement, dude. Tim the Sorcerer, who has been a channel member for 5 months. Tim, welcome, brother, and thank you for the generosity. He says, best console ever made, Series S. Said it many times. My one son, $2,000 game PC sits next to my other son's Series S. Difference, but there is a difference, but not a $1,700 difference. Wow, that is really saying something. And Elemental PO, what's going on, brother? He has been a channel member for 6 months as well. He also drops a $5 super chat and says, I'm just going to say this. Sony makes the best PlayStation games, and I agree there. Xbox is investing and continuing to make quality games, and I agree there also. I think that there is going to come a point, and I think next year, and we're going to get into that for the final topic of the show, next year I think is the start of where we start to say that both consoles are making these unbelievable, quote unquote, people hate when I say it, bangers that the kids say, and I think that's going to be the start of it. But Dreadpool, as someone that really gets to that brings business into the conversation more often than not, you heard what I had to say about this new position. It does seem to me, and again, John agreed that this is getting ready to finalize the acquisition of Activision, Blizzard, and King. Some of the responsibilities that it says here in the document that I have in front of me from Idle Sloth, it says provide appropriate leadership, engagement, and support for the active management of the integration, and also develop relationships with key partners across Microsoft, Xbox, and the newly acquired companies. What does this new job listing say to you?
It says expansion. That's what it says. You're trying to, when you think about it, you're trying to ease the expansion and inclusion into your ecosystem. So it goes both ways. It's not just you going, you're coming with us. It's also what we have to do for the new company, right? So when you're doing something like that, it's a two-way street. It's not always a one-way street. One-way streets don't work out too well when you're bringing in companies, because you don't know how they operate. You don't know how the nuances are, and that's why they've been hands off. Obviously, they still want to stay hands off, but this is something that they could be a little bit more proactive as opposed to reactive, and something that they can take care of ahead of time if there's some nuances that don't mash up with both companies. When stuff like that doesn't align, there's some sort of problem that causes more headaches than it needs to. So someone that can facilitate communications from both sides to get everybody on the same page, what needs to happen, how it needs to happen. That's what you got these people for. Because usually it's somebody that has no idea, and they're just, here you go, here's another job position for you. I need you to welcome in this office. I need you to do this. And usually you get one of two people. The people that know what they're doing, sit back, watch what's going on, and then fix what's wrong, or attempt to fix what's wrong. Or you get the other ones that are egomaniacs and tell you, this is how we do it here, you're doing it wrong, and causes animosity. And when you have a company that's bigger than what Microsoft owns, you need someone like that to wade the waters there, and figure out what's going on, and control a lot of the misunderstandings as they roll people in. And this, as John said, also we've heard Phil talk about it, that they're not done with this. This is not the last end all be all acquisition. So maybe, fingers crossed, we get somebody, I don't know, that developed Tomb Raider or one of those studios that we think is
we actually think that's going to happen. I like what you're putting down there, Jared, for sure.
So if the company is just a holding company, wink wink, we may be seeing them part of that too. So
Stop snitching.
I just think it's the size. First of all, it's the size of what Activision, Blizzard, and King are with what they do, because you got to remember, they all three operate separately, even though they're under the same control leadership. King doesn't do anything with anybody else. Nobody ever talks about anything with management or anything that they do with anybody that has any association with Blizzard or Activision. So yet again, it's like one person trying to control three separate entities and bring them on board. And yet again, also the future prospects of what's going to be coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think that seeing this position, it may not necessarily have to simply do with the ABK, but I would imagine at some point getting more help from Matt Booty in a big position where this tells me that not only are they expecting the deal to go through, because why look for more help if it's not going to be utilized? It doesn't even make any sense. What it tells me is that they're not done yet.
If they're trying to get help for Matt Booty, wouldn't that be called a booty call?
It would be called a booty call. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I thought that was all their team calls.
I mean, yeah. Listen, call it what you want, but I do think that he does need help. Obviously, we heard him say during, I believe it was Gamescom. Yeah, he was quoted in saying that they have literally so many games coming out that he doesn't know where to put them. And at the time, considering that 2022 was not a good year for Xbox first party, it was. I don't want to say it was taken out of context, because even I had a problem with it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you should really be saying that, considering that people are begging for a first party release and we're not getting one because everything's been delayed. But ultimately, when you sit back and you sit in your chair, you understand that, when you look at next year specifically, there is going to come a point they have so many games available, I don't even know where you put them. But the difference that I think you're going to see with this generation specifically is because of Xbox Game Pass, you don't have to worry so much about selling the game like you would on a typical, like a Sony. So Sony worries about selling copies of the game because they're still in this traditional way of game business, right? They have to sell consoles, they have to sell their first party games. That's what they do. That's how they make their money. Microsoft is banking on the fact that they have these incredible first party experiences in a service that you're going to want to pay for monthly. That's ultimately that's the difference. I gotta ask. There's a guy in the chat. I think he follows me on Twitter. His name is Anthony Vasquez. And I know you're being facetious, dude. He says this is the ABK podcast. I don't know. I don't understand. See, my question to you, Anthony, is if we do such a bad job, more specifically, is if I do such a bad job as a host, why are you even subscribed? Why are you torturing yourself being in the chat? It literally makes no sense to me that every time I see a comment from you, it's a complaint. I mean, listen, you're giving me a view, so at the end of the day, I'm the winner here. But I don't get you, brother. I just don't understand the constant negative commentary. And if you're following me on Twitter, after this show, I'm blocking you, brother. Straight up. I'm going to tell you right to your face, so it's not a surprise. I can't stand D-bags. And you kind of pulled a bit of a D-bag move right live on the air, so I'm going to call you out for it.
Yeah. And I even talked about other companies other than that for the acquisition. Mm-hmm. So it's not all about that. It's just, it is what it is. The conversation goes where the conversation goes.
It's the biggest story in gaming. I'm sorry that your favorite team, being I'm assuming PlayStation, can't afford to do that.
I think he's just mad because they're going to change Call of Duty to Call of Booty after Matt Booty.
That's absolutely. Yeah, that's right. It's going to be Call of Booty. I love it. I love what you're putting down. Let's Fuzzy, let's bring you in on the conversation here. Mm-hmm. This is a new position Again, I've heard what John had to say. Dreadpool seems to be on par with what I'm saying. I don't seem to, like I said, this is going to be a six-figure position. You don't make six-figure positions just because you have nothing else better to do. This is going to obviously have a lot to do with what is happening currently and what's going to be happening in the future, because we know that as soon as this ABK deal is done, they may not go for another publisher, and I don't think it'd be smart to do so. But I would imagine, the smaller developers, maybe like an Avalanche, maybe like an Asobo, maybe the rumored Crystal D, and Eidos Montreal potentially coming back. Well, not coming back. Potentially joining Xbox Game Studios. We've heard that Embrace Group was really just a holder for these companies as Microsoft, and we've heard that. I don't think it is, but I think that they'll do what most companies do. They'll invest in studios and then sell them for profit. And that could very well be what they're doing, because we know Eidos is working on Fable. We also know that Crystal D is prime development or developer of Perfect Dark, so it makes sense. What are your opinions on this new position that was brought to our attention, but of course, Idle Sloth of Twitter?
Yeah. Well, I think John and Dredd also basically knocked it out of the park as far as how you integrate this recent acquisition as well as the existing companies, so that way they can have somebody that can give the resources or get the resources to the teams that are in need of that, or at least help them with their development process and make sure that everything is smooth sailing across the board. Because every now and then you'll hear a story about what like some of the dev teams have, whether it's an internal issue or some sort of other issue. This would be like the go-to person to kind of work through those, or at least get things resolved as far as if additional resources are needed in one department or things of that nature. But I think in the grand scheme of things, if Matt Booty is going to do the focus for just the first party as far as outside of Bethesda and outside of Activision, having this person be kind of like the go-between all of the above, I think would be the great way to make sure that not that just that everybody's on like the same page, but at least they can know when things are in the oven or how close they are to being done, so that way they can come up with a formidable plan as far as release dates, so they're not stepping on each other's toes. Although with Game Pass you don't really have to worry about that as much, but there is some sense to kind of how you space things out throughout the year, making sure that there's no gaps, or making sure that some games that may be similar maybe have a little bit more breathing room between them and things like that. But I think this additional position goes to show that, one, they are rearing up as far as with the Activision deal, which between now and June, it's pretty much a sealed deal at this point. Whatever concessions may be, but if that's the case, we'll see type of thing. But in the grand scheme of things, I think now, considering how much is in the oven with all the studios, you need someone that's going to help navigate that. And Matt Booty was talking about at their E3 showing last year, or their equivalent of like E3 showing last year, that he has a spreadsheet and trying to situate how things are going to roll out. That's a good problem to have to some extent, but it's still a problem that needs to be addressed, type of thing. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they continue to work well. Like the big thing I would really like to see them do is focus on not necessarily a unifying message on advertising, but like you have Aaron Greenberg on the Xbox side, and I forget her name. I know her first name is Aaron, but I forget her last name on Bethesda side. And having them work together where maybe some of the dealings that Bethesda's done in advertising in the past can kind of leak over into what Xbox does for advertising stuff. But yeah, just making sure that the teams kind of can work together, or if there's something that one team sees in another team across, like over at Activision, they would like to either use whether it be an engine or something along those lines. This will make it so the communication levels are a little bit more seamless, I guess you could say. But looking forward to seeing who they hire and how this all works out. But it's always good to be prepared, so that way it's not like chaos day one when the papers are signed and it's like, all right, what do we do from here type of thing. Just making sure that they have everything lined up and ready to go and hit the ground running.
And that's good stuff. Everyone really knocked this topic out of park. We're gonna get into the Xbox first party and what that looks like moving forward. But it was brought to my attention by Masshole 1977. I just confirmed it. Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, he has passed away, folks.
Damn,
that is a monster loss for the voice acting community. I'm reading some.
That's the best Batman ever, dude, right there.
That literally is the best Batman ever. Yeah, I'm reading some quotes from many other voice actors, one of which comes the way of Mitch Gerards. He says, I struggle to find the words to describe how much Kevin Conroy and his voice mean to me. Batman, the animated series, changed my life both professionally plus personally in a very real way. I always meant to meet him at a show and tell him how important his work was to me, but never did. Damn it. This comes the way, again, everyone's reporting it, the Direct, the Gamer. Obviously, Hollywood Reporter has confirmed this as well.
66
movie
years
rankings.
old, man.
Yes, he's only 66, folks.
Wow,
that's not old in the current world that we live in. That's considered still your prime.
Wow.
Yeah, real sad to hear that. That is very, very that's very sad. I mean, like I said, he was in fact one of the best Batman voices ever, and that voice has been silenced. And that's.
Do you know if he did he do Batman's voice in the latest game? Do you know that, or?
I don't know, dude. Honestly, I don't really know, to be honest with you. But I do, like I said, of course, we're all sad, and I'm going to get some more information of if it was reported exactly what happened. But 66 is that's too young. That's a young man. And obviously, we don't know his health situation, but I'm sure it will be reported. But once again, folks, Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, unfortunately has passed on. It's, again, very sad. Do you want to say something there, Fuzzy?
He did.
No, it's. I don't know. I've experienced enough family, and we've had a lot of like our favorite celebrities and for TV shows and movies that have passed over these past few years. So it's just may rest in peace, and so sad to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Dredd? You want to add anything to the conversation?
He voiced Batman the animated series, which we've already just said.
Mm-hmm.
He also did the DC Universe animated movies.
Yes.
And Batman, Arkham, and Injustice.
Oh, wow.
So he was part of our lives more than we actually knew it.
To this day, whenever I read a Batman comic,
you hear his voice.
I hear his voice.
Yes.
That's the voice you hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unfortunately, wow, that's very sad. But at the end of the day, hopefully he wasn't struggling. He was with family. That's the most important thing. I'm
gonna replay all the Arkham games just to
just yes, absolutely. And those
again,
don't forget to play Gotham, because Gotham Knights, my God, it's
on my list.
It's
on my list for sure.
Anyway, listen, folks. As sad as that is, I do want to move on to the next topic, and I really want to get into 2023 and beyond. Like I said, listen, I have publicly given Microsoft the righteous smoke for 2022. There is no denying that not having any major first parties in your lineup for an entire year is unacceptable on any level. They are well aware of it. We're not going to harp on that. Like I said, even as a diehard Xbox fan, I had some real problems with it. I gave them the exact righteous smoke that they deserved, and they're well aware of that. But I do want to talk about, folks, 2023 and beyond, because as you saw by the thumbnail, there is a lot to get excited about. I mean, I know I had someone reach out to me and was like, hey, the thumbnail you made, a lot of those games are, even outside of 2023. That's the point of the thumbnail. It did say 2023 and beyond, which beyond is 2024, 2025. Appreciate the message, but it really doesn't make any sense when you consider that it is expected to be a conversation about the future of Xbox. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm excited because there is really no better time to get invested in the brand. Like I said, I don't get paid for Xbox. I do this as a fan. I do talk positively about Sony when it's there, especially with Nintendo. I play my Switch every day of the week. I'm on the Switch at some point or another. And I love the console, but I want to bring up a topic that was brought to my attention by a Clobriel. Now, if you don't know who Clobriel is on Twitter, you probably should follow that dude. He doesn't consider himself to be an Xbox insider, but the guy knows his business, and he does put out a lot of Xbox information on a daily basis. He put out a tweet the other day that really made me sit back in my chair, and when it's put in the way that he did it, it does make you say, wow, like they have a lot of stuff coming, and we're going to be eating good, especially, folks, because every one of these games is going to be an Xbox Game Pass day and date. This is something that Sony is currently struggling with. Their service, look, and I say this, if you're new to Sony and you get their premium tier, you are eating good. They have some of the greatest, most highly meta-rated games in their current service. And if you haven't played any of them, I'm almost jealous. I'm literally jealous for you that you get to experience these masterclass level designed games for the price of $18 a month. But for me, the service does nothing for. Okay? I play old games, but I play old games that are upgraded in graphics and in FPS. You very rarely get that with Sony's games. They're just thrown onto the service, and you just play what you get. You want to play Twisted Metal 2? It's going to look like Twisted Metal 2 from 1,000 years ago. Good luck with that. They don't put day-and-date games in there. That's a big problem. When is that going to happen? I don't know. Is it ever going to happen? Well, we'll see. Sony said that streaming services that couldn't work. They're not sustainable. And here we are. They have one of their own. Is it as good as Xbox Game Pass? Not even remotely close. But again, you can't argue their first-party games in there. There are legendary releases. So if you haven't played them and you spend your money, you're going to get your money's worth for sure. But there is a difference between day and date and, like, for instance, not getting any games. Like I got it for Stray because they offered me the upgrade for $33. I've told this story before, and Stray is really, really good. Like, I haven't beaten it yet. I'm halfway through, about maybe 3/4 through. I'm loving it. But I didn't want to. Why pay the $30? I could just upgrade for $33. But when my subscription expires in February, I don't know if I spend $120. I'm not sure. But this is the tweet from Clobriel. And like I said, folks, just sit back in the chair and just listen. Pay real good attention to this, because this was such a legendary tweet. And even for someone as invested in the business as I am, because I podcast 5 days a week, it made me sit back and really appreciate what Microsoft and Xbox Game Studios are doing. This is what Clobriel had to say. And while we're excited for Fable, Forza Motorsport, Starfield, Perfect Dark, Redfall, Everwild, Hellblade 2, Contraband, Avowed, and more, studios like ID Software, In Exile, Compulsion Games, Arcane Studios, The Coalition, ZOS, which is ZeniMax Online Studios, Double Fine, etc., are also quietly building new Xbox unannounced games. Looking to 2023 and beyond, Xbox has a real shot, folks, here to be in the conversation that Sony has been in for years, right? And that is quality first party games that get the fan base excited, that gets the media excited, right? I'm going to go first to John on this. John, this is when you sit back and you hear all the games that we know, but all the studios that are still working on games we don't. What are your personal expectations for Xbox Game Studios?
Oh, the sky's the limit here, and starting next year, there's no pass anymore for them. You know what I'm saying? There can absolutely be no pass, and I think that Phil Spencer himself knows that. He addressed it in that podcast that he was on like a week ago. 2023, I think, is really the beginning of you're going to start seeing the fruits of the labor, right? With the Bethesda deal, I want everybody to think about it like this: if Microsoft purchases Bethesda a few years earlier, they would have gotten uh, they would have gotten a bunch of excuses already from Bethesda. The fact that they made these purchases of Bethesda and all of the studios in 2018, where games were already in development, they had no choice but to release them multi-plat because they wanted to honor their contract. So if you really take a look at and you really think about it that way, you can kind of see where they they should have been in the running for Publisher of the Year, maybe going back a few years back. So if you really think about it, if everything hits how it's supposed to, and how everything's being aligned here, boom, there's not, I don't think that Xbox gamers or Game Pass subscribers or, just gamers in general are going to ever um, have a year like this year where this is this year is just strange, boom. That it's been deemed as the worst year for Xbox first party because obviously there's nothing, you know. The only thing really that there's coming up to look forward to is what Pentiment, and not a knock on that game. I mean, I'm gonna purchase it for the mag because I think that I think everybody would love to see him play live stream that game. So mag, watch out for for your library. It's about to grow by one title. I'm gonna get it for you. Um, but other than that, boom. If you really think about it, um, there's there's so the potential is so high for all of these titles to hit. I mean, Starfield is definitely coming next year. I mean, I would be absolutely shocked and floored if that game needs to be delayed to 2024. Honestly, Redfall looks like it's the start of something special here, and that something special is Xbox vision of what Game Pass can be. Right? It's having it's having a credence. We keep on saying that word, but of letting your subscribers know that there's going to be one big title to look forward to at least every quarter. And I think that that's really what their goal is, and it should be that, right? Because as subscribers, we're paying, and we expect, hey, you know what? There's been a lot of good stuff, and Xbox has delivered on the goods. I mean, when you look at the value that they've offered gamers Game Pass, I mean, it's tenfold, right? There's going to be some people that are going to say, "Hey, but those are older games. I want my first party games," and I get that. That's fine. I mean, value is subjective, like we always say, but I still think that at the end of the day, you are getting your money's worth when you are subscribed to Game Pass. That's my opinion. That's why I've subscribed, and I haven't even thought once, "Hey, I'm going to drop this thing." You know what I'm saying? And I think that many people have, and from the numbers you can see, 25 million plus, and it just keeps growing. It's obviously the value's there. So I think that next year is really, really the beginning of what Microsoft envisioned this whole Game Pass thing to be, why their acquisitions were done, and this is now when we're really going to start seeing this thing kick off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was just announced yesterday. I'm not sure if you guys saw, which blew my mind because listen, I'm not a mobile gamer, but I will say, a Marvel Snap, my God, like,
Dude,
wow,
I'm obsessed with that thing.
dude, like I bought the season pass yesterday. Now I'm not a mobile guy. I'm just not. It's just not my bag. But I love Marvel. I'm a Marvel stan, and I like card games. Like I used to play
Yeah,
Magic the Gathering back in the days when it first. I think my brother and I and our friends got into the third series. I think it was the third series that we wound up getting in, and I played it like bonkers.
that
So this,
game that game wins the title for one more game, one more game, one more
dude,
game.
yeah,
Dude, it's
it
it's
is. It's
it's
sick.
crazy.
It's sick how addicting that game is. It's almost a problem because they had the $10 season pass and had like the $15 boost. I just dropped the 15, but I didn't even think twice. And I'm not a mobile guy. Like I'm really not a mobile
And
guy.
and here's the thing. Here's the thing about the game, right? Just in case anybody's curious and wants to try it out. In my experience, I've been playing this thing for like a week nonstop. You learn something new every single time
You
you play it.
do, you do, yeah,
It's
yeah.
incredible.
I'm still waiting to find the Devil Dinosaur card because he's awesome. If you know what I'm talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have him. It's pretty
Oh
cool.
my God. So anyway, listen. The reason why I bring that up is because it was announced yesterday that Apple Arcade. Okay. Now, I don't know how many people have it. I don't have it. I've heard that they have some really cool games. Guys, they just crossed 100 million subscribers. Think about that for a second. Apple Arcade, who does not have all of these monster first party stuff there, has crossed 100 million. And I think that again, this is the ABK talk. Sorry, when they get King, oh my God, I'm excited not for the money that Microsoft's going to make because I don't get a dime out of it, folks. I'm not a boob here. I'm not rooting for the 3 billion, 3 trillion company to be 4 billion, and I'm on the sidelines with the pom poms. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is value. And if they continue to make as much money as they're going to make, we know that they're going to deliver the fans, us, more value for our money. Maybe we don't see a price increase for Game Pass, or if we do, it's $1 or it's $2. It's not like Netflix. Oh, it's going up $10. Suck it. You know what I'm saying? Like we won't be stuck
Or
with that. But
maybe it will be $10, but you'll get your 4 extra family members.
that's something to be said. I'm looking forward to that officially being announced soon. Hopefully soon. How soon? I don't know, but I would imagine closer to Black Friday when they're selling all of these Series S consoles that is going to be announced. But let me just catch up with 2 of the super chats, and we'll bring you in on the conversation. Highlander 001 brings an additional $5 super chat. He says, if it was Sony, if it was Sony that were acquiring Activision, these Sony ponies would never stop talking about it. They'd be dancing in the streets. Yeah, I think a lot of the fact that it's not Sony doing this, that there's a lot of salt. And if you're salty about it, then well, what can I tell you? We also have another super chat come in from Highlander 001. Thank you for the generosity, brother. He drops an additional $5 super chat. Says, if you can only enjoy your game or platform by tearing down someone else, what does that say about you? That's a great point. What that says about you is that you're just a straight up asshole. Sorry for the cursing. If that's what gets you off to tear down others because you want to sell your brand, then you're just a troll. Sorry. He says, gaming should be about bringing us together. Indeed, it absolutely should. But listen, Dredd, get to you, brother. One of the things that is very exciting for Xbox fans is because a lot of us have been here through the tough times, through the times where they weren't making such great moves. So you go all the way back to the start of the Xbox One generation with, if you want a console, I have the 360 for you, and dumb things like that. Leadership wasn't the greatest. Those leaders have been gone. Terry Myerson, we know, was nearly responsible for killing the Xbox brand. Thankfully, he is nowhere near an Xbox. I don't even know if he owns one. But right now, they're making big, powerful moves. They've had been making them for years, since the post E3 2018 when they announced all those acquisitions, right? So now here are the fruits of those labors. We see all the first party games coming next year and beyond. Based on the list that I put out there, not that I put out there, that Clobreel put out there, I just simply read it. What are your thoughts? What are your excitement levels for first party?
Well, my levels vary depending on the games, so each game is not for everybody, and that's the beauty of it. Is I do get excited for my friends. They get excited for certain games that might not be for me. I don't look at it going, well, it's not for me, blah, the game sucks. Well, if it's not for me, maybe I'll try it out. How many times have you played games with your friends and you both have liked it? And here you are, somebody saying that, oh, I don't like this and that. So yeah, my excitement level varies depending on the game, but I will try it out because we do know that it's going to eventually end up in Game Pass. And that's, to me, that's my full rental / game demo. I don't have to pay for it any extra than I'm already paying for it if I were to play it to completion. Doesn't matter. I get to try it. I get to enjoy it. And if I don't, I get to walk away and no love lost, But at the same time, I want to see better quality coming through. I want to see, and that's where I'm glad that they're
you
holding
want
off.
more value for your dollar.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah. I want to see that. And holding it off is good because that means they're putting more time into it to clean it up, to make sure that the bugs are gone. Well, there'll always be bugs. No matter, none of these games, they're so huge that all the bugs are gone. You just may never see one, but there'll be bugs in there. There was one on Master Chief Collection that on a Forge map, one of the guys, it was perfect. Every single time it was perfect. But as soon as you put it into play, anytime he tested it, no problems. But as soon as you put it into play, there was a glitch. 343 finally fixed that glitch. It took them all these years to finally find that glitch, but it wasn't because, nobody ran across it. And until you run across that stuff and point it out, it takes them a while to figure out what's going on with this glitch. And that could be the same thing here. But when you put the time in there, you do diligence to make sure that these games are great. Yet again, first party should be setting the example, and that's where they haven't been doing. And that's why hopefully I'm sure there's more to it than just this. I believe that there's more of a strategic move because of the ABK deal. I know I brought that up. Whoopie-doo. But I think there's more.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare I, right?
Careful. Might trigger some people.
So I think there's more to it than just one thing. So, and that's the beauty of it, is there's multiple reasons to hold these games back until 2023 and then start releasing them, and that's what we want. We don't want to have 3 games come out and then nothing for a while. We also don't want to have another game come out where everything was promised and nothing happened until it just finally was worked out. I mean, we've seen that with many games. Master Chief Collection is one of them I just brought up. No Man's Sky was another one that was overpromised and never brought back up until many years later when they did go back into it and clean up and get pretty much everything that they said that the game was going to be. We don't want that stuff. We want these things to be out the door. Here is what third party could do if they implement all the tools that we have. And that's what they need to do. They need to be the shining example. And that's what I want from them. I'm not saying that they're going to do it, but they need to do it. And that's what needs to happen, right? Nintendo, we talked about Mario, right? Mario's all over the place with all the different types of games that the franchise has gone into. They've shown, okay, well, Pikmin, totally whole new gameplay, new style of everything. And they showed you what they could do with it. When people were either excited or completely hated it, and it became a huge franchise. You know,
I got one better for that. How about the fact that they don't have Call of Duty, but still Splatoon 3?
yeah,
1 out of every 5 gamers in Japan own that game. Just
yeah.
saying.
Wow.
So that just shows you that, you know, when you do something right and you have enough games coming out where, you know, you can coincide with your third parties and, you know, second parties because of the setup, um, releasing those games nonstop where you have enough time, and at the same time, if the game's not for you, it's not for you, but yet there'll be a game released for somebody else, and then hopefully the next game or two, by the time you're done with the game, because I mean, I don't know about you, but we used to play games. We don't speed run like like they do now.
Dude,
Everybody's
I spent 60 hours on a game that people tell me, oh, I beat it in 15 hours. Good for you.
Yeah, but I mean, why would you speed run a game? You know, it's like, all right, we got through the story, done, I'm out.
That's
And
how
then
I
you're
feel about God of War, Dread. I'm really taking my time with it.
You
yeah,
should. For
enjoy
me,
the
that's going to
game,
be a
and that's
60-hour game because I like looking down the every crack and crevice. I don't want to just finish the game and be like, oh, did you find this boss? Oh man, I got to go find it now. No,
now
I don't want
imagine
to do that. I take my time with games.
yeah, now imagine speed running a game that's glitched out. Did you actually enjoy the game, or did you just enjoy playing Twitter? I mean, that's
Yes,
really what's going on, right? A
pretty
lot of these
much.
people are playing Twitter, and they're going all over the place. You know, same thing. You know, how many people have played these games and have never really truly played the games? Just like PC. You know, oh, I have this mega supercomputer, and yet they're playing on a potato when you look at their real stats. You know, it's the same difference. You know, it's a lot of talk, but why not just enjoy the game? And if it's not for you, it's not for you. If this service isn't for you, then that's fine. Move on. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on and talk about what you do enjoy. Let's not talk about what we don't enjoy. You know, there are times we need to bring up the facts of what we don't enjoy, and that's what I'm trying to do here too. Is there's certain things I don't enjoy. You know, I don't enjoy having a game like Crackdown that was taken away from the original developers because they were bought away from the game, and then they had to go back down and make the game again. And the technology and everything that they did was like started fresh, and yet the game got a bad rap. The game was a fun game, and I don't like the multiplayer, but I'm not going to sit there and talk every single time bad about the multiplayer, how the multiplayer sucked. Yes, it did suck. It got better, but it's still not what we would consider good. But that's for the most part. There's other people that enjoyed it, and that's same thing here. We need to enjoy and promote the positive side of gaming without ignoring the negative side of it. You know, and for 2023, I'm happy that every game on there will be for somebody. May not be all for me, but it'll
Yep.
be for somebody, and my friends will enjoy it and have a good time. And they won't be left out because I'll have every single game that I want and I enjoy, and they will have nothing.
Yeah.
That's not the way it goes. It needs to be for everybody. You know, same thing. My daughter, right? 9 years old, but she wants to play Lego again with me. Is that not a quadruple A game? No, it's not. But guess what? It's a family game.
It's a family game. Yeah, it absolutely is.
And
And
family games are bad, right? Were
they're
they not
terrible.
bad?
How dare you?
So it just depends on your outlook. If your outlook in life is always negative, then obviously that's what you're going to push into this universe of Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And I say don't do that. Real quick, we do have a super chat that popped in here. I want to shout out Xeon Ronin 77 says, you guys see Sonic Frontiers on Switch? It's rough. Nintendo needs new hardware. As a matter of fact, Ronin, I actually have recorded footage. I'm going to drop it in right now. It's not terrible, but you are right. They need they need an upgrade. We need a Switch Pro.
Supposedly it's coming out next year. That's what
Supposedly, yeah.
everybody's
Let
saying.
me
But it's
bring
been
up
coming out next year for like 5 years. Right?
it certainly has. Shout out to Lucky Mo in the chat. He drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "I work 8 to 10 hours a day. My list of backlog of games is getting longer, and Game Pass didn't even have its first party games." Yeah, it's getting. I like that. I love it. Yeah. My backlog's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I bought God of War. My fear is that if I start God of War, for me, I'm a bit of a completist. Like I can't play 17 games at once. I don't like doing that. I like really, especially with the Sony stuff because it's so story driven. I want to enjoy it. So I'm playing like right now. I'm playing Vampire Savior. I'm playing Marvel Snap on mobile. I'm playing Gotham Knights. I'm playing Sonic, which I bought on 2 different consoles, X and Switch. So I just don't have the time. I don't know what to do with myself. It's ridiculous. But if that's the only problems that I have for the remainder of the year, it's not going to be a bad deal for sure. But listen, Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on 2023 and beyond. I mean, we know what's coming, right? It's been out there. We've had podcast after podcast. We've seen different professionals from different studios talk about what's coming in next year and beyond. But when it's put to you in a way that Clobriel did, it really does demonstrate how many games Microsoft has currently in development. It seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that they could potentially release somewhere between, let's say, 7 to 10 games a year for the next couple of years and still have an overlap of games of the ones we know of that they've announced, and yet I'm pretty sure there's at least another 50% of games that they haven't announced that are in the works as we speak. So there's quite a list on the beyond. As far as for 2023, there's at least 2 that I'm highly looking for, and one that's up there as well, where you have Starfield, Redfall, and Forza Motorsport. Although Forza Motorsport is the one that I'm mainly looking for, but Starfield, I plan on sinking a lot of hours into that. And I guess the big thing now is, when do those exactly land in 2023? We figure most of those will hopefully land before, let's say, E3 or June of 2023. But given how we know that they're going to have another 12 months of Game Pass games that will list, and some deals, excuse me for mentioning the APK deal, go through between now and June of next year as planned, there's going to be potentially like Diablo mixed in there and a few others that'll be mixed in there as well. So 2023 is looking very, very exciting, but also somewhat I guess a contention for anxiety, especially if you have a backlog already of games that you haven't completely gone through or touched just yet. So, shout out to Pong for the gaming grazer approach, where just sample a variety of the games that come through, but there's always going to be the ones that we put the most hours into. And 2023, with it at least for me, Starfield and Forza Motorsport are going to probably be, I would say, 60% of 2023 for me, and then everything else will kind of get squeezed in there. But yeah, I think the big thing that people are going to have to get a hold of is that old meme or that old saying of Xbox has no games. It's definitely, it's been
played the hell
for
out
a while,
yeah.
but it's now like, if anybody says that, it should be like they should get the Batman slap to the face kind of thing from now on in. It's just it's beyond
it's cringe, dude. It's cringe.
Yeah, exactly. So
like, really, dude?
I think well, I guess we'll know here. Was it next Monday? Well, no, that's the announcements for the Game Awards or the Game of the Year and stuff. But
yeah, we're going to be talking about that specifically on Monday's Xbox Lunch Break Special. Me, you, and a few of the panel members. That's going to be announced literally as we go live. So we won't be, I don't think we're going to be covering it through the video, but we definitely will be giving our opinions about the nominees for Game of the Year that will be picked. Thanks for mentioning that. That's coming the way of the Game Awards official channel on Monday, and at 12 o'clock, 9 a.m. Pacific time. But if you tune into our show, which goes live at the same time, we'll be reacting live on the air about that. Good stuff.
Awesome. And with the Game Awards this year, we're probably going to see at least one, if not two, maybe even more of some unannounced games, or maybe some follow up on previously announced games, and a rough ETA of when those may land next year, or maybe
Can
the
you
year
imagine,
thereafter.
Fuzzy? Can you imagine if they announced the release dates for Redfall, Starfield, and Hellblade 2?
The rumor, it's funny you say that. The rumor that has been floating around is that the two games that are going to be shown are going to get full on gameplay trailers, not CG.
Mhm.
Is Redfall and Hellblade, and both of those games, again, this is a complete rumor, folks, that it's expected that they're going to get official release dates.
That would be awesome, and that will just be like a button on the year of 2023, and then we can look forward to the E3 for like the second half of 2023, as far as anything that may not have been announced up to that point. But it's definitely going to be a big year, as far as for the Xbox platform, and I I think now, if you have a backlog, start tackling it now to make room for next year. But yeah, I can't wait for at least for Starfield and Forza Motorsport. But Redfall, considering I'm a looter shooter guy as well,
Yeah.
I definitely will probably wind up sinking a lot of time into that. So it's going to be pretty stacked before we even get to the stuff that we'll know beyond those three titles. And we know that there's at least one, if not two more, for the remainder of the year, and or I wouldn't be surprised if there's another three more for the remainder of the year. So it's going to be a pretty big year next year.
Yeah, I mean, just obviously, Gungrave is, I think, next week.
Yeah.
Evil West is coming up. I actually purchased that. I paid for half of that using Microsoft Reward Points, which is awesome. So someone actually paid for the whole thing. I don't know about anyone else. Me, I know, Dredd, you're the master of saving. Because you bought a Series S, you're buying another one,
Series X, yeah.
which is crazy, with points, folks. He paid for these consoles with points. I get to like $30 or $40 and I get itchy.
$40. I get to $5 and I buy myself some $5. I don't want that.
Oh my God!
Man.
Yeah, the reward points from Microsoft. I actually, you know what? Let's get ready to do some outros here, because obviously we're coming close. We're coming up on the 2 hour mark. Dreadpool, I want to start first with you. For two reasons. One, I want to give your information out there, but I also want you to talk about that video you put out there, telling people about how to really nickel and dime the big corporation. How do you come up with all of these points? Talk about where they could check out that video, and more importantly, talk about where they could reach out to you. And again, you'll throw your thing up on the screen like you always do. Of course, we'll get all your Linktree information. I'll talk about that in a second, but talk about that video for a second.
Yeah, I put out a video, and ironically, right, it was last week. We were just talking about it, and in the chat, everybody was talking about how did you get that many points? How did this even happen? And if you got to think about it, right, Xbox was 2 years old. That's when I bought my Xbox Series X for $200.
Wow,
right? $200 out of pocket. Everything else was reward points.
That's
now
crazy.
Now think about that. 2 years ago, and I have almost $400 saved up from 2 years. That's $200 a year on the savings.
You'll be able to buy a PS7 by the time you're able to get that with Sony.
I have another video for that. I haven't put it out yet. I haven't built it yet. But it gave me the idea of, why not share it? Because we've talked about it several times. I know that there's other people in the community doing the same thing that I am, and there's still people that don't get it. And and I have no issues with you guys. You get your $5 worth, and then you want to spend it. Yep. Hey, that's on everybody. But you think about it, on average, that's $200 a year that you guys are buying stuff. And the only way I know is because the fact that it's 2 years now, and I have just over $400 worth of points.
That's amazing.
So that's $200 a year. I mean, that's basic math. Now, when you look at it like that, and that's why I created that video, because we were talking about it, and people in the stream, in the chat, were still questioning how do you even have that many points? It's ungodly. And no, it's easy. So I put out a video, and unfortunately, the video's audio. Nobody told me. Thank you, UK lad. He was in there for the stream, didn't tell me, and I appreciate the the fact that you guys didn't want to ruin anything, but I'd rather you guys tell me if my audio is bad. Anytime. That's the one thing I do for everybody. I let them know if their audio is bad. I want them to have good audio. That's the most important thing. Nobody can hear you, or if nobody can understand you, nobody's going to listen. So we always want good audio. And unfortunately, I got to go back to that video, but that video shows you the fastest way to build up these points. If I can, I'll have to look for it while we're going through the outros. And with all that said, I have another video that I'm going to be working on soon, which will be the easiest way to get points. There's another way that I do. There's two methods, and it goes through every little detail on how to do that. And like I said, you guys figure out how you want to play the rewards points and where to spend them. And it's just a daily thing. You make your coffee every day, right? You eat breakfast every day. You sit down on the laptop or your phone every day, right? You're researching gaming, you're playing games, you're doing this, you're talking, you're texting, whatever you're doing. You just needs 5 minutes. It took me 10 minutes to do the video, right? It doesn't take that long. It just took longer than normal because I was doing the video. So you figure 5 minutes a day, it doesn't hurt you.
Yep, it absolutely does not. Go to Bing, do your searches, answer your questions. You can get about a 50 to 100 points per day, maybe sometimes more than that, maybe 200 per day, and they add up. They add up quick.
Yeah. So I just posted it in the chat. So you guys just copy that link and then watch it after we're done doing the rest of the outros. Don't skip out on these guys. These guys are awesome. They deserve your attention and your time.
Absolutely,
too.
Yeah, so, brother. Well, let me bring up where they can. Where they could find you. You can find Dreadpool at Dreadpool at .com. There it is. Linktree.com/Dreadpool. YouTube.com/Dreadpool. Twitter at Dreadpool. TikTok at Dreadpool. And hover.gg at Dreadpool. He obviously, not only does he do Breaking Bread with Dread, but he's also on Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy Hood and that crazy crew Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. John Wolf, sell your brand, brother. Talk about where they can check out your incredible YouTube channel and if they want to reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media.
Yeah, Boom, thanks for having me again on the show, Breakfast with Boom. It was a pleasure talking to Fuzzy and Dreadful and stuff about all these topics. I hope everyone has a nice weekend. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel, John Wolf, how it's written under my name there. I'm streaming a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Boom. I'm having a really good time with it.
Nice.
And yeah, I just, if you want to pass by, hang out, we can chat about whatever topics you guys want. Just hit me up, and I'm on the road to 400 subscribers. I'm at 375 right now, so
nice.
That's not too bad, for someone that doesn't do it on a daily basis. But I've been picking up Steam lately. I've been streaming almost every single night. So yeah, guys, hit me up, and always a pleasure. Hit me up on Twitter as well, John Wolf, Xbox, PlayStation. That's where you guys can find me.
Yeah, love it, brother. And real quick, two things. Highlander 001. Wow, my goodness, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity. He drops an additional $5 super chat and says, newsflash, Tencent, the company, has lost more than 50% of its value from a year ago. Guess they will not be buying too much in the foreseeable future. Love the stock market. Yeah, you know what it is? A lot of their investments aren't immediately relevant because they're investing in. So when you do investment in game studios and stuff, sometimes it takes years before you get your money back. And I think that's what's happening with them. But yeah, we'd rather see ABK and many studios and publishers not go so much to Tencent. I like Embracer a lot. I like the way that they do business, and specifically like with Microsoft, you want to keep it in the family. You want to see Sony, you want to see Nintendo, and you want to see Microsoft invest in these development studios as well as these publishers, because they all have the gaming industry at the forefront of their business. Sony isn't going to do something to hurt the industry at large. Neither is Nintendo or Xbox. It's going to be for the betterment of the business. Tencent, I don't know so much. I'm going to be honest with you. So good to see that. Fuzzy Belvedere, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the best place for all your racing news, reviews, and opinions on your incredible YouTube channel dedicated to the racing genre. But more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media and find you on other shows?
Oh, just want to thank you for having me on here, and it was awesome being on here with John again, and always with Dreadpool this morning. Man, it was good talk and good interaction with the people in the chat, and thank you for everyone that came out to watch us. For those that just want to hear my thoughts and rambles on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. And then for additional shows I'm on, you can find me on Xbox Ultimate later on tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. On the Shop Podcast Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. Right back here Monday at noon on the Xbox Lunch Break Special. And then later that evening at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on FSP on Fun Speculations channel. And then right back here Friday morning with Breakfast with Boom right here at 10 a.m. Look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, thank you so much, brother. And it's great to have you a part of each show that you are. You always bring some great information. Shout out to, of course, well over 300 people we had here today. We actually almost hit 400, which is great. I don't know what the numbers is going on with YouTube. I don't know if notifications going out or they took us out of the algorithm because subs are down. And that's fine. I mean, listen, it is what it is. It's just part of the business. If you're new to the channel, please, for the love of Jehovah, consider subscribing and also hitting the like button before you get on out of here. I'm going to go do some housework with Mrs. Boom right now, get the house in order, and then I'm going to play some games because, gee, damn it, I have to get back to Sonic. But here's my public service announcement. If you are an OG, and you know who I'm talking about, if you're an old bastard like myself and you appreciate 8-bit gaming, if you appreciate Castlevania, you have to try Vampire Saviors on Game Pass. It is so addicting. It's crazy because it's a gauntlet style. And you don't even shoot. You're literally just moving around. The attacks come the way of, different things you find. It is an action RPG with 8-bit graphics that is a love letter to Castlevania, but also Gauntlet fans. It is freaking phenomenal. It's so simplistic. It has no right to be that good. Go check it out. Definitely hashtag BoomStick approved. And yes, it is not a banger, as the kids say, but it is fun as H. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. Thank you for all the super chats that come in. Obviously, those help fund the big giveaways that we do, and we do have a big one, folks. We have Mrs. Boomstick and I, along with this panel right in front of you, and several special guests. This later in December, we'll be giving away $1,000 in one show for our 5th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. That is probably going to be the 3rd week of December. And how do you win? Well, channel members, the first $500 of giveaways are exclusive to channel members. And if you're in the chat for the second $500, you will have a shot at getting a digital prize. And of course, we welcome all of our international viewers. We will send the money, even if we do it through PayPal. If you are outside of the United States, you will still get your prize. So thank you so much for being here. Have a great weekend gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming in and on. And we will see you next week. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me, folks. Hopefully one day be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.